If you clicked on this video, then you're probably wondering how the Mealthy Multipot has changed our cooking habits. You might also be wondering, should I get one for myself? So let's go ahead and dive in. My wife wanted to get a pressure cooker as she felt we would save time cooking, but I was more skeptical and thinking that the pressure cooker would just end up in a cabinet somewhere collecting dust and never be used. But I knew my wife really wanted one, so I agreed to get one. She did her research on Amazon.com, looking at the reviews of the many brands of multipots, and decided the Mealthy Multipot had the best reviews for the price. Therefore, it is not a sponsored video as we bought our original Mealthy Multipot for about $99 in 2019 through Amazon.com. As of the time of this video posting, Mealthy currently sells its 2.0 version for $250 because of some upgrades and improvements on their original design. If after watching this review you'd like to get a Mealthy Multipot for yourself, I have a link to the Amazon page in the description below. When we got the Mealthy Multipot, I really didn't know what the appliance could do. I loved our crock pot, which slow cooked a number of meals like pork chops, chili, and beef stew that I would prepare before going to work so that they would be ready when I got home. So I didn't see the need for an appliance that would take the 8-hour cooking time and cut it down to 1 to 2 hours instead. If I want a meal right when I get home, then waiting for the 30 minutes to 2 hours with a pressure cooker to me wasn't worth it. But some changes began to happen to our cooking habits once we got the Mealthy Multipot. The first change that happened is that my wife would use the Mealthy on days that I would come home late instead of letting the crock pot cook all day. She was willing to do so since the multipot made the cooking prep time much shorter. When cooking with the multipot, there are some meals where you just put in the ingredients and turn it on, like a tomato basil spaghetti recipe I've used. And there are some other recipes where you use the pot to brown the meat first and then put in the extra ingredients to pressure cook, like garlic lemon chicken and beef short ribs. And then there is this third category where you put in the ingredients in the beginning and then later add some more ingredients near the end just before eating, like the chili and beef stew recipes that I use. For these recipes, the wife was willing to do the cooking as it didn't take much time out of her work at home schedule. The second change we experienced comes with the flavor of the food cooked and the types of food you can cook. For example, before the pressure cooker, I had never cooked braised beef short ribs before. I found out about the dish through the Mealthy website where they have a multitude of recipes for you to try. Once I cooked the beef short ribs, I was amazed at the tenderness and flavor of the ribs with a recipe that took less than 2 hours, and it has now become a common dish in our household. A second example came with the difference of flavor in similar recipes. In some of my videos, I have compared the pressure cooked flavor of our dishes with the same dish prepared in the crock pot or the oven. In my oven comparison, the pressure cooker couldn't replicate the crispiness of the chicken skin in the oven, but the oven wasn't able to replicate the tenderness of the chicken that we found in the pressure cooker. And for both cases, when I made the same dish in the crock pot and the pressure cooker, the flavor of the dish cooked in the pressure cooker was preferred to the slow cooked one in the crock pot. And a similar experience happened with the flavor of steamed rice. We do have a standard rice cooker appliance that does a wonderful job of cooking steamed rice every time as long as we get the proportions correct. But when we've used the multipot for the same steamed rice, I find the flavor is simply better. Not sure why it is true, but for me, I enjoy the flavors of food from the pressure cooker more than the other cooking methods. A third change I have seen in our cooking habits came for us with the easily repeatable results with our cooking. For example, before the Mealthy, we would boil water in a pot on a stove to make hard-boiled eggs. The stovetop version of hard-boiled eggs for us always varied in terms of the consistency of the yolk and how easy it is to peel the shell. But once we started using the Mealthy Multipot to hard-boil the eggs using the trivet for steaming, the eggs come out the same every single time with a nice fluffy yellow yolk and a very easy to peel shell. I never want to go back to the old pot of boiling water method for hard-boiled eggs again. And this doesn't just go for the eggs. No matter what dish I make in the Mealthy Multipot, all the guesswork is gone and the meals come out mostly tasting the same every single time. Now that I've mentioned our cooking habit changes since we got our Mealthy Multipot, let's go over what I see as the pros and cons of the Mealthy Multipot or any other one-pot pressure cooker you might be thinking of buying. Here are some of the pros. It simplifies the cooking process. If you want to make good tasting meals with minimal effort, the Mealthy Multipot does a very good job of that. It cuts down on the time spent in the kitchen preparing foods. I have found that I'll be spending less time in the kitchen by letting the pressure cooker do most of the work for me. It quickly makes meats, beans, and vegetables very tender. It's hard to beat the tenderness of the meats and vegetables that we have cooked in the pressure cooker. And here are some cons. In the Mealthy Multipot, I have not been able to make food crispy. If you want to make french fries or have crisp skin on your chicken, then the Mealthy doesn't do that well. Now, I have seen a crisp lid for a Mealthy, but I have not tested it since we have an oven, which makes food crispy just fine without needing to add another accessory to the Mealthy. Another con is that it has a small capacity for single layers. If you want to cook more than 4 chicken thighs in the Mealthy, you'll need to stack them up on top of each other, instead of how you can put them all on one tray in one layer if you're going to put it in the oven. And another con I see is that I can't have a meal ready when I get home. The number one use of a crock pot is to set up a meal in the morning and have it perfectly cooked right when I step through that front door. I've never tried the slow cook option on the Mealthy Multipot, but I have heard that along with other one-pot pressure cookers, that they do not slow cook well. But I've also heard that the Mealthy Multipot 2.0 can slow cook very well. Do you have a Mealthy Multipot or one of the many one-pot pressure cookers on the market out there right now? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Happy Healthy Wife, Chef Barry here, reminding you to... Wait a minute, you're still here? Well, if so, then you might want to consider clicking on the like button or leaving a comment down below. It really helps support the channel. And you can also subscribe and click the bell to be notified of all my new videos that come out on Mondays with shorts on Thursdays. Thanks for watching. Have a happy and healthy day.